Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Get ready for truth bombs, belly laughs, and the kind of accent that turns car into a two-syllable adventure. Here's your host, Sean.
Ladies and gentlemen, oh, it's so good to see you again. Welcome to the Edge of Liberty. The 3rd of December. You bunch of naughty listers. Thank you for joining me tonight. Get people in the chat room. BZ apparently is typing in Korean. That's interesting in the chat room. Canada Heavy Haul. No blizzards for him. I think I saw a Mission Ready Men at one point. A lot to talk about this evening. A lot to catch up on. The Phantom is, of course, in chat. You can be in chat. It's not hard. If you're watching anywhere else, X, Twitch, wherever, go to YouTube. Search SHR Media. And then all you have to do is click on the live circle. Jump in the live chat. You can be in there with all the other crazies. Like Orty's in the chat. Whole bunch of others. I was off. I hope you had a great holiday. I did. I was fortunate enough to be out in Boston visiting family for the holidays. Always a good thing. Hadn't been home for a few years, so it was nice to go and visit. Nice to go catch up with some friends and family, see some sights, eat all the food places. One of the things, and I don't know if you grew up somewhere and you go and you move somewhere else. Cosmic Bod's in the chat. Cosmic Bod, good evening as well. When you go home, there's just certain places you have to attend, for me, it's food. Like all the places I grew up with eating that I don't get being out here on the left coast. Like Kelly's roast beef. It's a hot sliced roast beef sandwiches. They don't do it the same anywhere else. It's like you have Bill and Bob's in the Boston area. Kelly's, those are the two big ones. Had to go and get that. Had to get some pizza. Definitely needed some pizza because it's, required to get actual real pizza versus West Coast pizza. Had some Italian food. Needed to do that as well. So just hit up all the local spots, and then just see some friends, see some family. Had an awesome time. Living up to my Irish heritage, I drank a lot. As expected, but I had a great time. It's good to be back though. 3 shows off, 2 weeks roughly. I was ready to get back at it. I did miss a bunch. I know the boys at SHR covered it all. Mission Ready Men, of course, BZ on the Saloon covered a lot. Jersey Joe writing the articles. So I appreciate the boys holding down the fort while I was off. I appreciate you being here tonight. Ricky's in the chat room. Cosmic Bod said I was in Boston. I didn't meet you for lunch. It was only 4 hours away. Yeah, it was a little bit longer because I stayed mostly on the Cape. That's where my family mostly transplanted down to. So I was on the Cape. I did get up to Boston. I got up a little bit north of Boston, but certainly not that north of Boston. Ricky's in the chat room. Thank you, Ricky, for being here. So they covered everything. I'm back. I am exhausted. Jet lag's kicking my ass today. It's only 3 hours, but today it's been a rough one. I was ready for bed at about 6 o'clock, which is funny because I was staying up there until like 1 or 2 in the morning, but whatever. Let's see. Phantom was dropping knowledge about why Eva of Common Sense couldn't be here tonight. Hopefully everything is working in regards to that, and he gets caught up and feels better soon. Yeah, you saw the graphic I put up. 2 million illegals removed. In my second half topic, I'm gonna talk about immigration a lot more. But the 2 million mark, it's kind of special. That's kind of special. And what? Right around a year? That's impressive. And people say, oh, well, that's including self-deportation. Yeah. And the self-deportation is a result of policy. And that's okay. That's part of the effect. So it's pretty amazing. Everybody in the chat room is noticing that my accent might be just a hair thicker than it was the last time you heard me. Happens when I go home. Happens. And it's funny because everyone at home makes fun of me for not having an accent anymore and talking funny. So I can't win no matter where the fuck I go. But first thing I want to talk about tonight, and this one, I don't think
action to lower costs for,
and I think it's something that should get more attention. And we all know President Trump, President Trump, I'm sober, which is even funnier. I'm sober. President Trump essentially said, hey, everything that was signed with the auto pen from the Biden administration, done, gone. Not going to do it. It's not going to be part of it. But he also made moves to reverse the CAFE standards that's on the auto industry. Now, I'm going to play the video and then we'll talk about what the standard is and why this has been such a hamper, not only now, but long ago under the Obama administration for the automakers in this country.
Today, my administration has taken historic action to lower costs for American consumers, protect American auto jobs, and make buying a car much more affordable for countless American families and also safer. We're officially terminating Joe Biden's ridiculously burdensome, horrible, actually, CAFE standards that imposed expensive restrictions and all sorts of problems, gave all sorts of problems to automakers. And we're not only talking about here, we're talking about outside of our country, because nobody could do it. Nobody wanted to do it, and it was ridiculous, very expensive. It put tremendous upward pressure on car prices. Combined with the insane electric vehicle mandate, Biden's burdensome regulations helped cause the price of cars to soar more than 25%. And in one case, they went up 18% in 1 year. Today, we're taking one more step to kill the Green New Scam. It's part of the greatest scam, probably, well, other than Russia, and a few others I could name. The greatest scam in American history, the Green New Scam. And it's a quest to end the gasoline-powered car. This is what they wanted to do, even though we have more gasoline than any other country by far. And people want the gasoline car. They want everything. They want electric. They want to have lots of alternatives, but they do want the gasoline car. Right now, it's leading away by a lot. The car business is a very interesting business, but we want to keep it that way.
Of course, America wants gasoline cars. Now, look, he made a point there. He said, look, people want electric too. And I'm not saying they don't. But right now, the most cost-effective vehicles in this country for Americans are gas and diesel powered engines. They're also more effective for the average person's life. Now, I said before, I'll say again, when it comes to electric cars, I don't care who invents what. If it gets great and people want it and it's cost effective and it fits their life, it's going to sell. Plain and simple. The market will absolutely determine what gets made. If people want super high-end efficiency cars that may run on shit, or they may share some of their time with a $15,000 battery that you have to replace every couple of years, that's on them. But you let the market decide. But the Biden administration did exactly what the Obama administration did. They levied all of these new requirements on the auto industry that cost them a lot of fucking money to develop and research. And once again, it is going against capitalism, because if the money was there to be made off of these green cars, these high efficiency cars or whatever, the market would do it for themselves. And you can't say, oh, that never happened, because since vehicles were for sale, since cars were starting to be developed in this country and around the world, every automaker, for the most part, was always looking for a smaller, more effective, more cost-effective vehicle for people who wanted it. Shit, the Chevy Chevette. There's so many that you could sit there and list, but those cars were out there as well. And a lot of auto industries, car makers had 2 or 3 options for that. Look, most of the Japanese cars that came over here, the chicken tax. Oh, we'll talk about the chicken tax another time. But yeah, the chicken tax. The chicken tax is the whole reason we don't have the Toyota Hilux in this country. But that's neither here nor there. But the Japanese car industry, that boomed over here, especially in the late 70s, early 80s. Toyota, Honda specifically, were smaller, less expensive, efficient cars. And people bought them like crazy. But to pigeonhole an industry and say, well, you have to meet this standard, and now that car maker or those car makers dump all of this money into research, well, that money has to come from somewhere. And the cost for whatever they develop, what you're paying for it, comes from the amount of money that they put into the research. Their profit margins get slim. You look at when Obama started the electric vehicle thing, which is he really was the one who started adding all this stuff. It was right around the time that, I don't know, the auto industry needed a bailout. Yeah, the rest of the market was crazy, but they had no capital except for Ford, right? This is what happens when government gets involved. And look, I know the environment. I get it. We don't want, all the clouds over the cities of fumes and exhaust and smog and blah, 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 blah. But these vehicles were always getting more efficient. The diesel engine from the 30s got naturally better, even by the 90s and the 2000s. It got more efficient. They got way more out of it. They got more horsepower for less fuel consumption. It was always going that way. And it will continue. I'll tell you right now, if any of these automakers turn around and found a way to make the internal combustion engine 100% efficient, they do it, and also reliable. That's a key point. They would do it because people would buy it. Because if I'm getting all the power out of my V8 that I could possibly get, and it's highly efficient, and it's reliable, yeah, people are going to pay $5,000 more for that truck naturally, that car naturally. But the free market, as we've seen time and time and time again, will make the changes that need to be made. And for the people who do not want to buy a big engine, a big gasoline engine or a diesel engine, guess what? Those options are out there too. Tesla was starting to be developed way before the green scam started. Right? And I know people don't like Elon now, so they don't want to buy his shit. But okay, there are other ones out there. There are Rivian. There are other companies that are doing it. But you have that option. It's almost like you can vote with your feet. You can also pick and choose what vehicles rise to the top. The market always does that, and it always has. What you saw under the Biden administration and the Obama administration is the left had a ton of money in green energy and batteries and green vehicles. They wanted a ton of taxpayer money to add to that. It's why all these solar farms showed up, right? Remember Harry Reid and the solar farm in Vegas and what a big deal that was? There's also the solar plant on the California-Nevada border right there outside Las Vegas that they just shut down because it's not cost effective, and it's costing more to upkeep than they're making out of it. All of these things have been proven time and again. Solyndra, right? Wasn't Paul Pelosi a part of that? Solyndra failing after millions of government dollars, taxpayer dollars, got fucking pumped into it. And yet, government can't help but insert itself instead of letting the free market actually decide and actually choose. And then turn around and they give us Obamacare. Once again, the government entering into the free market that fucked up an already fucked up healthcare system before. I don't know how you can double fuck something up, but Obamacare found a way to fucking do it with our healthcare system. It was already fucked up, and it was fucked up because of all the different ridiculous rules that they had. And instead of Congress stepping in and saying, hey, we're just going to change it so, like the auto industry, people can sell across state lines, and we're going to make sure there's not price gouging in hospitals and a couple other things that is going on. As we know, as we've seen evidence to 1,000 times, how many times you've seen the stories? Somebody gets a ridiculous bill from a hospital and they contest it and ask it to be itemized, and all of a sudden the bill's cut into 2/3, right? Because they know. But they just have these boxes where they say, oh, this was the procedure done. This is how much it was. Well, did you use everything that was required? Oh, no, that guy didn't need about 3/4 of that. But we have to charge him because we opened the pack. Did you? Oh, well, no, we didn't really open the pack. Okay. That's what happens. Right? So that's two major examples of what happens when government starts fucking putting mandates and playing around in the free market where it does not fucking belong. And remember, most of the people who make these fucking rules or come up with these ideas and sell them to the President Biden and Obama have never worked in the industry that they're talking about. They're bureaucrats, lobbyists, people like that. They never worked in the fucking automaking industry, but they're getting paid off by the green industry to put new restraints on the auto industry and then dump money into new green cars, federal taxpayer monies. Oh, it's a rebate. We get a rebate. No, you got free taxpayer money for buying a car. It's fucking around with the free market. And if, like I said, we've seen it before. How many fucking Toys R Us went out of business because it got expensive and it was more efficient to buy it off Amazon and other places? Target, Walmart, whatever. Right? The free market does that for you. And it will continue to do it for you as long as you let it do what it's supposed to do. Let the markets go. Stop playing God within, and this is the other thing too. Whenever I hear socialists or everything else turn around and say, oh, it's crony capitalism, blah, blah. No. Part of the problem we have in this country with our capitalistic system is the fact that the government fucks with it constantly and has all of these unbelievable restrictions in there constantly. Go look at the fucking trucking industry. The trucking industry was destroyed by the government. You want to talk about shit being forced that wasn't ready and technology? Look at the after treatment systems. And I know Canada Heavy Haul is probably high-fiving me on the screen right now. The new after treatment systems, even the most advanced ones now, constantly get fucked up and break down. And they cost $20,000 to fix just for the after treatment system. These new engines work pretty fucking good even without the advanced after treatment system and DEF and all that other stuff. But what happened is trucks became only affordable to the mega carriers for the most part. Now, can a smaller company or a single truck or 2 truck, 3 trucks, can they survive? Yes. But they're always one fucking breakdown away from going out of business. The good ones. Not talking about the shitty ones who just constantly change their name, yada, yada. I'm talking about the real trucking companies. To maintain them is insanely expensive. But we have all of those rules because of government oversight and government involvement in the trucking industry, which they know nothing about because somebody wanted to make money off DEF and create a new widget, which was the DEF after treatment system. Right? So the government said, oh no, we're requiring that in all trucks now. Doesn't matter how much it costs, doesn't matter how much. And I will tell you, when I was driving every single time my truck had a mechanical issue, with the exception of one time that I had a seal go, it was from the DEF system. It was a sensor, or the filter had to be cooked off, or the system just fucking failed. I've seen systems with under 100,000 miles on a on an after treatment system fail completely and have to be replaced. Those trucks should go for $1 million without any major upgrade, as long as you're taking care of it. It used to be. You used to be able to get $2-3 million out of it without major issues. Yeah, you have to do an in-frame or whatever. You have to do the maintenance, but not replace $20,000. And that's, once again, what happens when government gets involved in shit that they know nothing about. So I'm glad the standards are being rolled back. I'm glad it's being fixed. And really, the free market just needs to be left alone. However imperfect it may be, it is a hell of a lot better than any other system out there, and it's a hell of a lot better than when government fucks with it. Be back after that.
Ever dream of escaping the daily grind? At Escapist Travel and Tours, we make those dreams your reality. From breathtaking adventures to cultural immersions, we offer escapes tailored just for you. Let us take you to places where every moment feels like a new chapter in your life's adventure. Visit www.escapist.travel or call us today at 1-855-885-81776. Your escape awaits.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? And check out Seven Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with Seven Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SA.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Part 2, The Edge of Liberty tonight. Hey, if you have a second, please like and subscribe wherever you are watching from. Like the specific episode, smash it, the thumbs up, you know what to call it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the network. Also, check out shmedia.com. There's a lot of great articles on there, one of which I'm going to talk about right now, a little self-pimping, as you will. So we'll talk about Hanover Park Police in Illinois. You may remember, 2 months ago now, an individual by the name of Radul Bojovic, who is an illegal alien from Montenegro, was arrested by ICE. And they also found out that he was an active police officer with the Hanover Park Police Department. Now, first and foremost, and he overstayed his visa back in, 2015? He had all this time to fix it, never did. Passed a background check through the state of Illinois. I'm sure they have a minimum standards for their background check. Never came up, right? Never came up. Bullshit. And look, I'm not saying Radul Bojovic is a bad guy, right? I'm not saying he doesn't have it in his heart to serve. That's not the point of my conversation here. Point of my conversation is the department totally fucking blew this, and then they doubled down. And I'll tell you how. So he was detained by ICE. There was all this outrage. Oh, he's a police officer. Blah, blah. Okay. First and foremost, the minimum standard, the absolute minimum of being a citizen is the right to work. Being able to work. If you're not a citizen, if you're illegal, you don't have a right to work in this country. That's step one. That's not even carrying the gun, passing the background check, whatever. He doesn't even have a right to work in the country. And they hired him. They put him through the academy. He was working. He had just graduated the academy. I think he started field training. But then you start getting into the question of, well, wait a minute. Can illegal aliens possess a firearm? And the answer, of course, is no. 18 U.S.C. 922 subparagraph G5. It is a felony for an illegal alien, a non-citizen, or any alien, legal or not, for a non-citizen to possess a firearm. Doesn't say unless under the color of authority while they're working as a police officer. No. You cannot have it. You can't have ammunition. There are some fixed blade weapons that it's a felony. It's a fucking felony. He's working for the police department, and he is a walking, talking federal felony. Right? I thought we were supposed to be holding police officers to a higher standard. Isn't that what the left was screaming during the BLM years? They're going to be held to a higher standard. We need body cams because we all know all cops are blah, blah, blah. And then we found out that it's like 99% of cops are great. And there's 1% that suck, but that's still less than clergy and doctors. We're going to hold them to a higher standard. I want this cop fired because he said something mean. And I want that cop fired because he looked at me weird. And I want this and I want that because cops are terrible. But because of virtue signaling and social justice and good feelings and kumbaya, we're going to hire one and give him a fucking weapon. You see how it's all bullshit with the left. It's all bullshit. I wrote this article on shonmedia.com. And so now you start to break it down. You're like, well, it's a felony for him to even have the gun. That's kind of weird. But wait, it's also a felony to knowingly provide firearm or ammunition to somebody who is in the country unlawfully. So whoever at that department signed the paperwork, because that's what they do when you get a firearm for your department, and he couldn't go out and buy it over the counter and use it. He couldn't use his own weapon because he can't buy one legally. No gun store in the country would sell him one. So the department must have issued it. And whoever authorized that, because when you get all your equipment from a police department, you sign off. I got this, I got that. And whoever issues it signs off. I gave them this, I gave them that. That's also a fucking felony. 18 U.S.C. 922 D5. To provide firearm ammunition to someone known to be in the United States unlawfully. Okay, so look, there are really, really good applicants out there who do not get fucking hired because they might owe $3,000 to a bill collector because they say that $3,000 can be leveraged. And then all of a sudden, you could be compromised. You could check a wrong box on an application to be a cop. And they could try to say that, oh, you were trying to hide something for us, so you have no integrity. Boom, gone. That happens all the time. Becoming a cop, the background check. And 90% of this country is fucking that thick. And most of the time, they're looking for reasons to bounce you. Because up until, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, Started under Obama, really. There was a line out the door for cops to be applications. I remember taking the test in Massachusetts, which they only run once every 2 years. They may have changed it, but when I was young, and the line to the places that they were giving the test would be around the corner. Right? And then you could score 100 on the list and still be 45th out of 500 people. But then you're telling me they couldn't virtue signaled any other place except the illegal alien? And look, again, I'm not shitting on the kid. I'm sure he's a nice kid, right? Maybe he had 10 years to get his shit straight. You're doing all that shit to go through your backgrounds, the amount of paperwork for the application and your backgrounds. You didn't one think, hey, maybe I should just go and get my visa fixed. Maybe I should just go and get right and then start my path to citizenship. Because I'll tell you right now, if he did that and got hired, he would be a story of what to do exactly. I'd be sitting here talking, well, probably not, because nobody would talk about it, because nobody likes to talk about all the things that legal migrants do in this country and bust their ass to succeed. Nobody wants to talk about that. I've said on the show a million times, 100% support legal migrants. I am okay with it. And if he'd done it the right way, we could be celebrating him. But instead, he didn't. He made that choice. And the department made that choice to hire this kid. So now they put him through an academy. They hired him, which is illegal. We all know it's illegal. They should be in trouble for that. They put him through the academy. By the way, taxpayer dollars are going to this department, both federal, state, and local. And after he was released on a $2,500 bond, the guy has been illegal for 10 years, should have been deported. Right? Should have been deported. Wasn't $2,500 bail. He knew this. He knew what his status was. And some leftist judge let him walk out the door. So then he becomes a cop. He gets arrested. Like I said, detained by ICE. He gets released on the bond. Hanover Park Police Department turns around, reinstates him fully, and gives him back pay, taxpayer money for the time that he was out. So now you have this guy who should not have a firearm, who should not even be employed because he's illegal. You have a department that's illegally employing him, who issued him a firearm, which is a felony. And now he's about to go out on the street and start arresting American citizens and taking their liberty away. I went through the academy years ago. That was something that was beaten into my head over and over again. What a unbelievable position to be put in, to take another person's liberty away because they've committed a crime, to put them in handcuffs and take them to jail and book them and charge them with something. Potentially they could go away for a long period of time. The responsibility in that is astronomical, and you will respect it over and over again. You will respect that. You will never forget that. One of the few occupations in this country that has the ability to do that, to take somebody's constitutional rights and either suspend them while you're doing work. I mean, they still always have rights, but you're not letting them leave. You're taking them and charging them with the crime. They lose certain rights if they get convicted. The responsibility in that's amazing. Now there's an illegal alien who could take my constitutional freedoms away if I happen to commit a crime. And let's say it's not even something major. Yeah, I mean, look, I want bad people to be arrested, right? They should be arrested. They should go to jail. That's how the system should work. But they should be arrested by somebody who can legally fucking arrest them. At this point, what's the difference between this dude doing it and some random guy off the street fucking hooking you up and bringing you to jail for nothing? I will tell you right now, if I am ever arrested by this officer, which I will never be in Hanover Park, Illinois, to be arrested by this officer, but just hypothetically speaking, I would sue the fucking tits off that department. Individually, too, him and the brass at that department. Because he has no lawful authority to be arresting me. None whatsoever. Doesn't matter what I do. He's not qualified to be a peace officer. But because of virtue signaling, he is. Can you imagine the insanity behind that? Finding out that the guy who arrested you and you're doing 5 years for whatever wasn't even a legal citizen? Had no right to even wear that uniform. He couldn't even get a legal job at fucking Taco Bell. But he just arrested you and now you're doing 5 for whatever. Or even something less than that. Say if you got to pay a speeding ticket, you get a warrant. And he hooks you up on the warrant. How? This is the insanity of the left. This is, and I'm going to talk a little bit too about Jayapal's new. This is them not giving a fuck about your constitutional rights. They're not giving a fuck about the rule of law. They're not giving a fuck about criminal procedure. It's just everything makes you feel good. Do it. Oh, let's hire this poor kid who's from Montenegro, even though that he was illegal, and give him a gun, even though that's a felony, and have him take people's freedom away. Even if any other cop that did it, it was legal, he had probable cause to make an arrest, right? But let's give it to an illegal because he's a nice guy. You know what? There are plenty of legal, nice guys and gals in this country who, like I said, could be immigrants here legally who wanted to be cops. Why the fuck would you pick this guy first? Why? Because it checked a box? Or because your side of the aisle believes in shit like this?
Today to say enough. Our Dignity for Detained Immigrants Act has a remarkable, unprecedented 123 original co-sponsors. Before we've even introduced it, 123 co-sponsors, and it overhauls the detention system.
123 people signed on to this fucking bill. She called it something to do with the Immigrant Rights Act. They don't have any.
It drastically scales back the use of detention. It ensures that every single immigrant who is in detention has their human and civil rights protected. Our bill also phases out the use of private for-profit detention centers.
Okay. Couple different things. Number one, if you're in this country illegally and you're caught in a detainer, guess what? The rights that everybody talks about, you don't have. You have a right to a hearing, maybe, depending on what your specific situation is. Sometimes you don't. You only have a right to a hearing under certain sections, not just I snuck over the border and committed 5 felonies. You don't have the rights there. See, they conflate so much bullshit into stories like this or sessions like this because she's saying, oh, their rights that they have and their human rights. Well, first and foremost, being arrested is not against a human right. Being detained is not a violation of human rights, contrary to what this moron's trying to tell you. They talk a lot about the rights that the illegals have, but they don't tell you that they only get real rights under our Constitution if they commit a crime and they end up in the criminal justice system. If they're in violation of their immigration status, a lot of those rights just go away. If you have a detainer or a deportation order, guess what? You don't have rights. Now, she's bringing up the whole private detention centers, and there are a lot of them. The reason those are needed is because fucking immigration was so far out of control that we don't have enough. Should we start building bigger federal holding facilities for a temporary problem? Because if they get rid of all these people, we won't need them after that, and they'll lay dormant. And then it'll be, oh, look at, spent billions of dollars building this. So they use temporary facilities. They use contract facilities. What's wrong with that? Nothing. But she's going to say we're going to get rid of them because then they won't have the capacity to hold people. Remember, we're at the 2 million person deportation mark today.
It prohibits the detention of children and families and makes it harder to detain primary caregivers and vulnerable people like pregnant women or seniors or workers who are whistleblowing on unscrupulous employers.
Look, Tom Homan said it great years ago to AOC. When somebody's arrested, they're separated from their families. Those are choices that those people are making. Primary caregiver, I don't care what they are. You know you're in the country illegally. Like that cop in Chicago or Hanover Park. You have choices. You could have changed a lot of things, and you didn't. And then they say, well, if they come here illegally, there's no option for that. Well, guess what then? Then they get the fuck out. They chose to come here illegally. They chose to bring children here illegally. You look at how many fucking illegals poured over the border under Biden. Sean, they're all not bad people. No, I never said they were. But we have fucking rules and procedures and a border for a fucking reason. No one talks about how, what was it, in the 50s and early 60s, fucking immigration was next to zero. They pretty much shut it down because we were growing too quickly. We didn't have the infrastructure for it. These same people bitch that housing's unaffordable. Part of the reason housing's unaffordable is because you have 10 million extra fucking people in this country that don't belong. Think about how many apartments and houses would open up with that. Think about all the resources that get used by these people who are under the radar. The taxpayer money eventually, look, when you walk, first and foremost, any one of these illegals walk into a hospital because they're sick or whatever, they're going to be treated, and then they disappear, and then that bill, guess who reimburses the hospitals? Medicare in that state, Medi-Cal in that state. Guess where that money comes from? Fucking taxpayers. Look at all the school systems. Well, they pay taxes when they work illegally. If they're here legally, I don't give a shit. I don't care if they're non-citizens in here legally. I mean, there are other arguments we can have about that, yes. And I know there are people in the chat room going, oh, geez, Sean, what about this person? I'm just talking in general, generalities. For the most part, if you're here legally, for the sake of this conversation, you're not involved. You can work. You'll pay taxes. Your kids can go to school. Cool. This is dealing with all the fucking illegals. Between 1924 and 1965, we put a massive pause on all but specifically designated immigration from countries with greatly limited numbers. Yeah. BZ said that in the chat. Let her continue.
It requires DHS to allow members of Congress to do our jobs and conduct those unannounced inspections that hold these facilities accountable. As an immigrant myself.
You know what's funny? You know why she's trying to work this bill, which, by the way, this bill's not going to pass on the 124 Democrats signed on. Nobody gives a fuck. You know why they want to work that in? To let us do our job and allow us in for unscheduled visits or whatever she just said. It's because they legally don't have the right to just walk into a detention facility right now. And we know that. They can say no for numerous different reasons. So they want to add that in. So now Congress, you know, the people with the 17% approval rating that know shit about detention, all they know is doing shit like AOC did, where they stand outside of a gate wearing all white in the fucking Texas border and cry, or get arrested fucking assaulting an ICE agent in New Jersey. But now they want to slip that in. That way Congress can march in at any time. They have no fucking rights to be there. That's the end of this, her speech anyhow.
Today, my administration.
Ooh, sorry about that.
Is taking.
So this is where we are as a nation. She and other Democrats and those 124, I want to see their fucking names, even if they are Democrats or Republicans, want to make it so ICE cannot do their job whatsoever. That way the invasion that happened under Biden doesn't get fucking undone, because that's bad politics for Democrats. It doesn't suit them if those 10 million potential voters get kicked the fuck out of the country. How come they don't never fucking worry about the citizens of this country? How come they never worry about the fucking taxpayer? They scream about housing costs. They don't scream about it for fucking any of this shit when it comes to taxpayers, when it comes to citizens, when it comes to people doing it right. Be back after this.
Welcome to River of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a sharp wit and clear discussion. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a refreshing dose of reality as we fearlessly tackle the tough topics with no nonsense, just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com to discover where you can catch River of Common Sense in action. He's here to amplify your inner logic. He may not always be polite, he may not always be refined, but one thing's for sure, he always tells it like it is.
Come listen to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show. Live on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Rumble channel, SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, Spreaker, and wherever great conservative podcasts are found. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, guides you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Raised as a free-range child with dirt, stains, mud, and freedom, BZ broadcasts from North Idaho, comfortably surrounded by actual normal people. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room on rumble.com. Click on live chat to join. Now, with 37% more umbrage and 19% more bulbosity than previous shows, featuring delicious Liberty additives for the best in late-night conservatarian talk radio. BZ reminds you that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, fat-shamed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
I am someone who loves their neighbor. We all are here because we love our neighbor.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna be here. We're not getting paid.
We're not getting paid.
Right. But guess what? When we talk to our kids tonight, what's the highlight of our day? We got tear gas for justice. We got tear gas for doing what was right.
Yeah.
We got tear gas for standing up for our neighbors.
Yeah.
That's what we did today.
And we're gonna keep doing it.
We
don't give a fuck.
And nobody, not one of those whatsoever. Back with the Edge of Liberty over there on the SHI Media Network. Please encourage you to smash that like button and subscribe. Smash it for the channel or for the episode itself. Also, make sure you check out our great friends over at KLRN Radio, who this is being simulcast with some wonderful peeps over there. Still want to talk about immigration a little bit. So that was obviously Minnesota, where the sweeps are going on right now. By the way, they were that specific group was upset because their neighbor, who they love, was arrested. That neighbor also had a felony reentry detainer and charges and domestic violence. So that just shows you, the people that they're choosing. Here's another complete, I'll do this first. Everyone knows the Governor Newsom press office is just run by the complete jerk off that works for Newsom. And it's not Newsom, and they just keep shoving their dick in the dirt every chance they get. So there was a response to Fox News played a report out of California where an illegal was arrested, had been removed 4 times prior and re-entered. And then he had an accident where he killed an 11-year-old boy. And that Governor Newsom's state refused to work with ICE. And then the governor's press office Twitter account responded, "This is a complete lie. We have reportedly stated the state coordinates with ICE on the deportation of convicted criminals. California honors federal criminal warrants. Nothing prohibits the federal government from doing its job in this case." In this case is the very fucking specific term there. And also criminal warrants. Specific language, because they separate detainer from warrant, and it's two different things. So Homeland Security responded, and I love this. I love the fact that they're doing this more and more. They responded to that post with, "You're playing word games to keep illegal alien murderer in America. California rejected the ICE detainer for an illegal alien charged with killing an 11-year-old boy. Gavin Newsom said he'll only cooperate with ICE if the criminal alien is convicted, meaning California will let them roam free even though he's been arrested for felony hit and run. Hector Ahaler has been previously deported 4 times and committed a felony when he illegally entered the 5th time. The violent criminal must be deported ASAP." And here is the detainer and the request from Homeland Security from November 29th that was, in fact, rejected on the 30th from the state of California. It never ceases to amaze me how much the Democrats will do for illegals and a shitbag who's crossed back into this country 4 times. Pardon me. And then you have this story out of New York. This is another lovely one. It's from the New York Post. Chilling new details emerge about killer migrants responsible for 29 homicides sprung from New York jails instead of being handed off to ICE. Share this tab instead. Let you guys see the headline, and I'll break it down a little bit. It's real. It's a real story. So long story short is you have numerous people who are being held in New York who, much like California, acts the same way when it comes to their illegal immigrants and detainees. Illegal immigrants tied to 29 homicides have been released back in the street of New York due to the sanctuary state laws. The violent rogue gallery includes the likes of a Cuban national and convicted killer, Jose Antonio Andrade Quezada. Wow, I did that really well. An illegal alien with a criminal history involving homicide, larceny, disorderly conduct, possession of stolen property, dangerous dogs, burglary, trespass, assault, according to Homeland Security. He was released from Rikers Island only to be picked up again on a parole violation when ICE promptly put a detainer on him on August 16th. Another is Antasio Tejada Almonte, a criminal and Dominican national with a rap sheet including homicide, assault, illegally carrying a weapon, and flight to avoid prosecution. Despite ICE detainer being lodged in May, he was released by the Department of Corrections on July 27th with no fucking notification to ICE whatsoever. The men are just 2 of the 6,947 criminals released from New York jails in the past year, despite having ICE detainers. 7,000 illegals who are committing crimes are being released by the state of New York. 7,000. Think about the fucking insanity involved in that. Despite having active ICE detainers requesting to be handed over to ICE, the killers were cut loose, and many of them have 9 toes out the door, so to speak, rather than being removed from the country in accordance with the city and state sanctuary policies, which limit how local law enforcement is allowed to cooperate with ICE. The terrifying list includes Alex Zareth Martinez Avalia, an illegal from Honduras who racked up a laundry list of criminal charges, including assault, possession of stolen property, unauthorized use of a vehicle, stolen vehicle fraud, trespassing, and possession of burglarious tools. Burglarious is a word. Look it the fuck up. ICE detainer placed on him on May 26th, and he got let go. And there are more and more and more. When did we get to this point? When do we get to the point? And I'm not even talking about the fraud in Minnesota. I'm not even talking about all the other fucking stories, the truck drivers, this, that, and the other thing. When did we get to the point that everything in this country was pushed aside for fucking illegals, and why? You got to ask yourself this question. We saw the sanctuary states and cities policies pop up. Why are we funding them? Why are we giving them any federal fucking funding? They're not choosing Americans over. And look, I said it. I'll say it again. If they came here legally and they were allowed in, okay, we'll deal with that differently. But if they're illegal and they're here, why? Why do we give a fuck? Why do we give a fuck? I know the Democrats want them picking cotton and picking strawberries and doing all that. Pelosi said that out loud and others. I know they want their cheap slave labor. That's the only thing that I can think of, is because they think it'll keep prices down. And look, we see when farms get raided, as we saw when Newsom's large donator in the pot farm, where there were 15-year-olds working on the farm. We know of the 340,000 kids that were lost under the Biden administration. That's not a fake number, right? We know about these NGO groups that are supposed to be taking care of these unaccompanied minors that were employing rapists and fucking everything else. We know there were companies out there employing these fucking juveniles who shouldn't have been in the country. They shouldn't have been working, and most of them were working in jobs that you should have been an adult to work, and they were doing it for pennies on the fucking dollar. Why are they okay with that? Why are they okay with criminals running around our streets? Why are they okay with illegal migrant youth being turned into slave labor? But they want to pass laws to protect it even more. It's not going to pass. The president will never sign it. That's a virtue signal law. We all know that. This was supposed to be step 2. Like I said, they never thought conservatives would ever come back into power. They never thought Trump would win again. They never thought there'd be another Republican. They were going to jam through citizenship for that 10 plus million. And I use the number 10 because that's what most people agree on. It's higher than that, but I'm just going on just the most agreeable number for the sake of simplicity. They were all going to be rammed through. And they weren't going to be rammed through because Democrats really cared about them. They weren't going to be rammed through because of what they could bring to the country. No, they were all going to be rammed through and give us citizenship so they could vote Democrat. So the Democrats could maintain power. So Democrats could keep all of their phony baloney jobs. So the blue cities that most of these people disappear into get more representation in Congress. And then they can start adding states like Puerto Rico that would vote blue, Washington, D.C. that would vote blue. Start packing the Supreme Court. Start doing all that shit so they can finally start making this country what they think it should be instead of this horrible country that they like to pretend it is. Imperfect, yes. Horrible, no. They hate the Constitution. And you know that because they don't hold any of these illegals accountable to it. It gets in their way. You notice how they stopped talking about it after the fucking rise of the Tea Party, and people went fucking crazy when they started calling it a living, breathing document, and it was outdated and we have to replace it. And fucking they lost and fucking they just got shellacked in the midterms and everything went to hell, right? So they don't say that anymore. Occasionally, Tim Kaine fucked up and said that, you know, when he was talking about the Constitution, what was it, 4 or 5 months ago? Maybe less. How there are people in this country that actually believe, that rights are natural, God-given. That we know that's not it. It comes from the government. That's what they believe. He said the quiet part out loud. They believe that government has the right to take away your rights. And as we know, there are certain rights that all of our rights, they don't have the right to give it away because they did not give it to us. But that's their goal. That's who they are. They are showing their ass to the American people. And it is time for the American people to respond. Legally, voting. Stop giving them money. Stop fucking following their influencers on X and getting them paid. Stop liking their comments. Do all of that shit. because all of that hurts the cause. That's going to be it from me. It's nice to be back. Thank you so much to the chat room that was off the hook, but I was ranting so much I did not post as many chats as I normally do. Thank you for listening wherever you are. Please check us out, shrmedia.com. There's so many articles you can share. You can like. If you scroll down, there's a little spot where you can like the article, and that helps give it traction. Same thing with all of our socials. You can like and subscribe. X, Getter, Truth Social. You can find SHR Media and the hosts on all of them, I believe, including myself. You can find me on X, the number 2 Against Tyranny. Check out our great friends over at KLRN Radio. Every Monday and Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 o'clock in the East Coast. You have Reaver of Common Sense with Jersey Joe, who's hopefully feeling better. I really hope so. He's been dealing with a ton of pain, and it's been, hopefully he's on the right path to feel better, because it sucks to live in pain. It's horrible, and nobody should have to do it. Every Tuesday and Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon on the East Coast, you have Mission Ready Men with my boy Big E, who wrote an article on SHR Media. Go check that out. Tuesday and Thursday night, 9 p.m. Pacific. I'm sorry, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. on the East Coast. You have the BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, who is large, yes. Crazy, yes. Hyper smart, absolutely. Got a touch of the tism, most likely. And then on Sundays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 on the East Coast, we're lucky enough to carry Cosmic Bard, Lost Wanderer, whatever you want to call him. His show's on our YouTube, SHR Media YouTube, so make sure you check it out. I'll be back Monday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, as I am. I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.